Hello and welcome to 10 Ton Potato, the podcast where we talk about actual productivity in the Office 365 stack. I'm Brad and I'm joined by my co-host Craig. We are the founders of GTconsult. In this show, we dive into Microsoft Office 365 stack, how it actually works, and whether certain features are gimmicks or major productivity boosts. We cover topics such as SharePoint, workflow, PowerApps, and Teams, and share insights and tips on how to use them effectively. Whether you're a beginner and expert, a developer or user, a potato lover or potato hater, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is 10 Ton Potato, and today we are talking about the SharePoint UI Web Kit. How's it, Craig?
Hey, how you doing, Brad?
Good.
Firstly, do you like my shirt? Someone who loves me went to Las Vegas and got it for me.
Yeah, it's definitely laundry day.
Love it.
You know,
Cool. So we're talking about Web UI Kit. Very excited. New topic from Microsoft there.
Yeah, I've been trying to get my head around it and identify exactly what it is, what we can do with it, how to leverage it. So, what is the SharePoint Web UI Kit, Craig?
So when they first announced it, I got really excited and I got nostalgic. They're going back to 2001 when you were still in nappies, and they started with the front page designer. You remember that thing? That was actually the start of SharePoint. So I got really excited for this UI kit where you could design your SharePoint site and all the rest. And in having a look at the SharePoint Web UI Kit, it is a designer for a SharePoint site using Figma, where they've got a number of different models that you can build your UI. But it's really built for designers to create a page and display it. So you're creating an RFP or something of the sort, you would generate a or you generate that wireframe using the SharePoint Web UI Kit.
Okay, so it's actually something that you don't develop on, you design on to create the wireframe before you even touch SharePoint.
Exactly. So it incorporates the framework of all of the types of pages you've got. It incorporates all of the out of the box web parts so that you can drag them onto the page and get an idea what your page would look like or your site would look like, because you can create multiple pages utilizing the templates that they've built out.
And when I check out the templates that they're offering here, if I go into the figma.com at Microsoft link, they've got quite a few templates. I can see that they've got the Fluent one now, which looks pretty cool. And they've got a number of iOS and Android and Windows UI type of kits.
Yeah, so let me actually share the screen with you and show you exactly what we're looking at. So if you follow the link through to Sigma, you have the ability to build out this SharePoint Web UI Kit. Now at Figma, there are a whole host of other UI kits. And one to check out but not get confused on is if you go to Figma at Microsoft, you'll see there's also a Microsoft 365 UI Kit. That's more focused around your tools within things like Office and Teams, etc. You have a number of different emoji things, and then finally you've got your SharePoint Web UI Kit, and this is really what we're speaking about today. So opening that up, we get to our landing page. So when you open up in the design tool, it gives you some basic design where you can put in text, you can drag things around, add icons, etc. But quite importantly, you've got a number of items down the side here, like pages to tell you how this works, how to put in a change log, how to change the look, change the theme, etc. So this is just showing us information that you can then zoom in on and find out exactly how the tool works. But quite importantly, there are a number of different templates. So if we jump across to the templates, these are our pages that we can zoom in here a little bit, where you can actually grab a layout of a page and utilize that page as your template to start designing your site from. Then with those templates, you can start adding in all of your different web parts. And these are the default web parts that you would find. Normally, when you create a page within modern SharePoint, you click on the little plus button and it will show you all of these types of web parts that you can automatically add to the page. So that's essentially the tool. Once you start using it, you can copy one of these templates. You can start grabbing a web part, like a hero web part, drag it onto the page, find exactly where you want to go and drop it in, and it automatically adds into that page.
Okay, cool. And then you can then obviously then push play and it will export it to SharePoint and you're for away.
That would be a wonderful idea. And in fact, those are 90% of the comments coming from people using it, going, well, I've created my page. How do I now export that to SharePoint? So the play button gives you a preview or present view. So this is very much aimed towards that designer presenting to their board once they've decided on an intranet, or talking to an RFP and showing the site using that present mode. Now, what it doesn't do is export the functionality to SharePoint. So once you've actually designed the look and feel, you still have to get a developer to jump onto SharePoint and mimic everything that you've designed on the front end. Now, it's quite easy because you just follow the instructions of exactly what is here, and everything here is out of the box. So, in that case, you can very much just go and configure the site according to the look and feel that the designers designed. But you cannot export at this point the page that you've generated into SharePoint. So it's only design. There is zero development happening in this web UI.
Okay, so this is creating the control. This is, hey guys, this is the board, this is the management team, this is the company, this is what your SharePoint's going to look and feel like. Are you happy? And then they go, absolutely, we love it. And then you go, no problem. And then you share this with the development team, and the development team then follows through and actually does the framework and implementation on SharePoint itself.
Correct. That is entirely it. So for me, honestly, I'm struggling with the concept because we live in a very modern world now. So when we go and see a client and we put together an intranet for them, we use SharePoint Lookbook. We decide on a design which is shown here with all of the different components. You provision it and you actually configure it on the site itself or within your site. If you're here, you can go and change the site templates by applying a site template which applies many of the SharePoint Lookbook look and feels, and then you go and design them, and then you create a video or you show them an actual design site. Yes, I get the concept here where you're creating this as a designer to put into a document or something of the sort, but there's nothing stopping you from doing that with the SharePoint Lookbook and taking a snapshot of the page. And also, sites that are designed and then put onto a page versus actually seeing a site in a browser is often a very different experience. So for me, here, if you want to show a template of a site page in one format or another, you have to design those. So there's a template for a normal size browser. There are also templates for mobile view. So then you have to see exactly how that looks and redesign it. So I'm struggling to see the benefit of this in terms of actual implementation. If this play button took the site and automatically created a site definition for you that you could deploy, excellent. In this
Yeah.
case, I'm struggling a bit.
So, I mean, the scenario would be the marketing or design team would use this to come up with the look and feel of the intranet and then pass that back to the SharePoint development team. So someone that's never
Correct.
used SharePoint would then put this together and be like, okay, this is the framework we live in. This is what we want it to look like. You guys implement it.
Exactly. But there's a caveat to that because in setting up any of the web parts within the Web UI kit, you need to firstly know what those web parts do. And secondly, you need to know the variability. So let's take a hero web part. Hero web part could be one giant image with a call to action, or you could split it into 5 different tiles. Now, if you've never worked on SharePoint before, probably don't know that. You think hero web part, okay, it's just a block at the top. Or a quick links might be buttons, it might be tiles, it might be a gallery rotating. If you don't have that knowledge of SharePoint, well, then firstly, you're not going to know how that component works. Yes, you can pop it onto a page and say, okay, that looks good. But in the reality of it, you might need the UX kind of component in terms of, okay, you know what, these quick links will work better as buttons than a gallery. So for me, there's a missing component here in terms of the knowledge you need for the SharePoint Web UI kit to configure it correctly versus what you can actually provision in the SharePoint lookbook or directly on a site. Now, what a lot of the comments are this is great because you can sit with a client and design the site with them whilst sitting in the room. But let's face it, the configuration of modern SharePoint, you can do exactly the same thing. So, and then you've actually got a site that's up and running and they can look and play with and feel the actual design. So, yeah, it's a very interesting toolkit. I think it's missing a component there in terms of that deployment, big time.
Um, so I think you've hit the nail on the head there. The biggest issue here is it's less about what it looks like and what the experience is going to be like, and are you doing a double step? So I think there's very few scenarios where you'll actually leverage the web UI kit if you have an experienced SharePoint designer or an experienced SharePoint UX on board, because they would just build it out straight on SharePoint straight away.
Correct. And I think in terms of making a video, people are more likely to watch a video than read a document this day and age. So having that interaction of the actual UX, I think, is quite important for me.
Yeah, it's because an intranet and an internet facing page are two very different things. The one is all about, productivity and being able to get to information as fast as possible. Where the internet page is more about marketing. Who are we? More flashy, more pizzazz. So I think it's two different approaches
Yeah, and
as
don't
well.
get me wrong, a intranet needs to still look good, and I think that's why the modern experience of SharePoint has been such a vast improvement from the classic. And smoke and mirrors, you always want your intranet to look and feel good, but it's more around the functionality, what you're trying to bring to the organization. Do it in a good looking fashion. But when it comes to designing that intranet, it's also always a work in progress. We know that. That's part of our business. If you look at the Gartner numbers, the number of years that it takes to build out a fully fledged intranet, it's a ongoing project. So that look and feel, yes, you need governance around it. You need to make sure that everyone is conforming to that, and you do that through hub sites and pushing the themes and all of the rest. But when it comes to an actual designed page for a department, those are always going to change. It depends on what agenda is of that department. It depends on what the agenda is of the organization in terms of their intranet design. So when it comes to that, I find the flexibility of using the actual site itself and moving components around, etc., for me is a easier design.
Yeah, I mean, different horses for different courses. I won't go as far as to say it's a gimmick. I think if you don't have experience on the SharePoint side and you are a design firm, this would be a great tool because it gives you only what is available. So I mean, we've had that experience in the past where a design firm came in and said, make it like this and this and this. And we're like, well, that's not available. We have to code that then. So it kind of puts them in a restrained area to say this is what's available to you, so go ahead and use this. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But
I think
you
you
know,
make a great point there because we get drawn into projects with where designers do the actual design, and sometimes those are separated. And of course, if you don't have the rights, well, then you can't do it on SharePoint in any case. So
yeah,
yeah, you make some great points there.
and so yeah, I think it all depends on what type of project you're dealing with. Bigger companies will have, a corporate identity that is very much governed, and so in this sense, they can be like, "Hey guys, what do you want us to do here? Here's Figma, roll it out, and send us back exactly what we can and can't do." They'll then, apply all the palettes and the templates and the look and feel, and then that can probably go against your corporate identity, and then you A for away. This is how we roll. This is what it should look like. Keep it like this. I think that's the real application of the Web UI kit. I think if you're an experienced dev, you would probably build it straight out on SharePoint.
I
I
think
would like to
once,
see an export though to be able to be used as a template. I think that's the missing piece.
yeah, exactly, and I think they will get there. I think this is a stepping stone to that, where you can design your template and then publish it as a site definition.
Yeah, I think once you've closed that loop, this becomes a huge productivity boost. Up until that time, it's honestly a two-step process, which some people might step right over. But I get it. I mean, it's not total gimmick. It's just what a pity if you could just export this as a template, it would change everything.
Yep, most certainly.
So you mentioned the lookbook earlier. Basically, the lookbook is that final step where you can obviously import that template and use it straight away.
Yeah, so SharePoint Lookbook is a site that has a number of site templates that have already been defined. You can provision them directly into your environment if you are an administrator, which means that you take their look and feel and you pump it straight in. So it's kind of like a intranet design in a box, but it's just for a single page. You still have to go in, configure everything, make everything work. It's just the bare bones. However, a lot of that functionality has been added in, as I showed on that sidebar with apply a site template in SharePoint. It doesn't have all of the components, but provides you with a lot of those just to give you a base framework that you can start building your site off of. And whilst some of them seem quite rigid, some will say, this is for a crisis management site, but you can provision that for something else. Yes, there's a bunch of changes that you have to make, but it gives you that base design with the componentry already configured on them.
So it's a sourdough starter kit,
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly.
There's something. Yeah. What do you want to do with it is up to you.
Yeah, what we find works quite nicely is people have a look at the lookbook and then look at different components that are on a page and see what resonates with them, and then recompile all of those together to generate a landing page for them.
Makes sense. All right, and so obviously this all comes down to the look and feel of the environment, which is very important for adoption. And adoption is what we're going to be talking about next week. in the episode on the adoption playbook.
Nice segue.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that the whole episode. But yeah, okay, thanks, Craig. I think the SharePoint Web UI Kit, I understand it a little bit better. I won't go as far as calling it a gimmick. I think obviously designers love it because they know what framework to live in and create fantastically good looking SharePoint sites. I think from a implementation side of things, we would love it if you could just export it. I think that would be phenomenal. And I think, yeah, there's an opportunity there for someone smart to roll that out.
Or
Um,
even to wrap it into Microsoft Designer to say, okay, I want this functionality, and then it automatically generates it for you. That would be
yeah.
pretty
Well,
awesome.
now just tell Copilot, right? Hey, bro,
Yep,
hook me
exactly.
up. There's my Figma site. Make it happen. I think our jobs are safe for a while. All right. But yeah, thanks. I think it's one of those features that depend, right? Who in the business is going to design it? If you have someone that's going to design it and has the ability to use Figma and be creative around it, it's a massive boost for them. And then the devs, when they're rolling things out, know exactly where to stay. If you don't have that design team, um, and the guys are already in SharePoint, they'll probably stay in SharePoint and build it straight on the SharePoint platform straight away. They'll skip the step.
Yeah, I mean, once again, steps where or occasions where you'd use it, RFPs, as you mentioned, people without rights into SharePoint will definitely use it for design,
That's also
and
a good point.
then
Yeah,
yeah, governance.
yeah, yeah. This is what I wanted to look like. Here you go, and then get those results out.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, thanks for showing me that. Definitely want to talk about the adoption playbook in our next episode. There's a lot happening there, and obviously, if you do all these great things on SharePoint platform but nobody uses it, is it just completely a waste of time? Does the old adage, "If you build it, they will come," apply even to SharePoint? Find out in our next episode. Craig, thank you so much for
thanks,
getting up
Brad. Enjoy
early
Cape
and
Town.
doing this. Thanks, bro. You too. Bye.